So this is really was one of my favorite clients. This is when I realized that the work I was doing could really matter for people, and that I really had a process too that they needed and wanted. And this was a gentleman. It was very interesting. He called me on the phone. Most of my clients, I mean, now the technology is changing, but most of my clients I haven't even ever met. It's all phone-based work. And he was one of them. He was a very successful chief financial officer for a large Fortune 100 firm in the major metropolitan area in the Midwest. And he called me because his wife and I had been in a workshop together. And she said, "You got to call this woman." And basically what he said was, "I am a chief financial officer and I'm about to quit my third job in a year. And I don't know why. And I want you to help me understand what's going on." And so as we did our work, and a big part of, it's like, it is the pause, right? The permission to pause and have the fierce conversations, right? Mm-hmm. And as we were in that process, we explored values, we explored arcs and endings, the stuff that he was doing in his life. And what became really clear very fast was that he was an artist. It's one of the things that came out. And apparently he was a fairly accomplished watercolor artist and photographer. And he, what I did with him was help him to kind of get to know a lot of his parts. And what was happening was his inner artist, and his CFO and family man provider were at war with each other. And he was like, "I can either be a CFO or I can be an artist. This kills all of us when we sit in the either or," right? And so the first order of business, when we did some of the values work up front, which we do, and really going deep in that and visiting the values, he realized he actually valued being the provider for the family, and he loved being a CFO. So it wasn't that he didn't want that either, right? So then what, right? What do you do? So when we're doing the parts work, we're doing the values work, we're doing the arcs and endings work, and we're doing the perspectives work. And basically, long story short, what came of that was a decision. He did quit that job. But he had to realize that where he was thinking in this either or, I can either be a CFO or an artist. He was thinking, and I have to replace my CFO income as an artist, right? And then the minute he'd quit and then try to do that, it didn't happen right away, and then he'd freak out, and then he'd want. So he was in this weird thing, right? Mm-hmm. Some people do that with wives. Some people do that with cars. Some people do that with husbands, right? I mean, right? And because we don't understand what's actually happening inside us, we don't understand what's going on inside us. And we don't have a relationship with enough of our parts and with the voices that are getting louder. And this voice is trying to shut down this voice, and this voice is saying, and who's holding court, right? And we have this tendency to make things good, bad, right, or wrong. So this voice is bad, this voice is good, or, and it's like, and then we never get anywhere. And then we wonder why we're stuck. And that's what most of my clients are at a crossroads. They're restless. They feel like maybe they're stagnating, or they don't get it. Why do I feel stuck? Or why is there malaise? Or why don't I, I have all these things to be grateful for, and why am I feeling restless and still searching? Why can't I just be happy? What's wrong with me? That's kind of where they start to go, right? And so as we started to play with this, fast forward to the end of our engagement, he quit the job he was in when he called me, and he ended up getting a new job at a not-for-profit in the arts. Some of his work was saying, "I am an artist." Whether or not he was a commercially successful artist or anything else, was just starting to claim that part of himself and give that part of himself a little room to have a voice. It's part of his personal board of directors. That voice wanted to get louder now. It needed a way to be expressed. It was being tamped down. It wasn't getting expressed. And that's what a lot of my clients, it's like, I used to be so creative. I did all these creative things, and now I don't do any of the things I used to love. I used to paint. I used to knit. I used to, whatever it is. I don't do those things anymore. Well, that part's going to start leaping out, biting you in the butt. And you can either go, "Ow, ouch," or you can go, "Oh, you're here. Hi. Let's have a conversation." And so he started to have the conversation, which then started to shift him into this and this. What if I could be a successful CFO and an artist? And what if what I'm making up about artists is that has to replace this? Well, now I know from my values work that I actually love being a CFO and I love being a provider for my family. So those are two of his parts. CFO, provider, husband, father. He had many kids and all that, right?
Yeah.
I love these things. And this part of me wants out. So by the time we were done, he got a job in this not-for-profit, and a lot of people think these places, like everybody's poor. No. He was making more money working for them than he was for the Fortune 100 company, and they celebrated him as an artist, and they negotiated a 4-day work week, and on the 5th day, he rented studio space in an art colony, and every Friday, he was immersed in the art. And by the time we were done, he was starting to put price tags on things and present at art fairs, get little space in a gallery, and playing. Yeah. And so now he's playing, he's having more fun, his artist is happy, his CFO is happy, his family's happy. Yeah. Everybody wins. Yeah. From that little shift, from either or to yes and. From oh hello to shut up.